A legend wants to end his career with his current team. Los Angeles Lakers superstar, African-American LeBron James, told the media Sunday that he's been happy being a Laker for the past 6 years, and hopefully it stays that way. The 39-year-old made his comments before his record-setting 20th All-Star appearance. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on anyone else. So if you drive safely, you could save money. Good to know. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The best news out of NBA All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis came from LeBron James. Before Sunday's All-Star game, LeBron said he hopes to finish his career with the Lakers. A couple of days after the February 8 trade deadline, management for the Lakers and Golden State confirmed that they had casual talks about a trade that would have sent LeBron to the Warriors. LeBron said Sunday he was unaware of those discussions. LeBron did not play in the second half of the All-Star game. He's still undergoing treatment for his sore left ankle. Look for NBA Commissioner Adam Silver to do some serious soul-searching about the All-Star game. The game has become a joke. 397 points were scored, 211 by the Eastern Conference. The lack of competitive effort by the players in recent All-Star games is becoming a major problem for the NBA. There will be some changes. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte with the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial. In a public opinion survey commissioned by KBLA Talk 1580 and conducted by Viteris, the black voters surveyed were highly enthusiastic about the March 2024 primary. The race for Los Angeles District Attorney is being hotly contested. Incumbent DA George Gascon's efforts to implement progressive criminal justice reforms have generated pushback from within his own office, the broader law enforcement community, and some in the general public. He was the subject of at least 2 failed attempts to qualify recalls. The concerns about crime are reflected in the polling results of black voters. Nearly 1 in 4 have been victims of violent crime or have someone close to them who has been a victim. 1 in 5 black voters have personally been victims of property crime in the last 2 years. A majority of respondents feel less safe than they did a year or 2 ago, but they reject the notion that criminal justice reform has gone too far. This year, black voters will be looking for candidates who speak to the complexity of the issues as opposed to a one-size-fits-all approach. Nearly half of black voters have an unfavorable view of DA Gascon, but his challengers are largely unknown. Nearly half of the black voters are also undecided, which means there's a clear opportunity for candidates to connect with black voters. Our poll makes 3 things abundantly clear. Black voters matter. Black voters are closely following this race, and the candidates for DA have a lot of work to do. KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to the mobilization and use of the franchise to empower our audience to identify and pursue their interests in advancing equity, inclusive representation, and multiracial solidarity. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Dr. Nicordelai Corte. We welcome your feedback.
So much fun, so now how could we both forget? Telling each other we're the one. We would make love at the drop of a hat. Remember that? Yeah, I remember you and me.
KBLA Talk 1580. Okay, well, it's a messy Monday, and we have this first time we do it with a couple, a husband and wife joining us. Maybe it should be Black Marriage Monday, but we're doing Messy Monday today because we really check in on relationships a couple times a month, because otherwise we get so serious and political that we forget to develop our personal our personal well-being, our personal lives, which are what's the saying? The personal is political. They're also very important. Rob McGowan is the husband. He's a husband of almost 20 years, a father of 4, an organizer in the social and racial justice movement for over 14 years. And he recently transitioned from being associate director of organizing at Community Asset Development Cadre in Los Angeles to launching, with his wife, a coaching practice called Diving Within that supports people of color in the social racial justice movement, nonprofit sector, foundations, and in private life. We'll talk about that because it has a lot to do with what we are talking about right now on Messy Monday. Emilee is also with us. She is married to Rob, and hopefully they have a lot to say about relationships. Emilee and Rob McGowan, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
I know you're a mama.
Yes.
And a wife. And let's start with you, Emilee, a little bit about this diving within, because it's life coaching, right? Rob, you do life coaching, helping people with vision of life, purpose, goals, but I'm assuming it's not all on the business side.
This is true. Well, a lot of, I'm sorry.
No worries. Just want to make it convenient for you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so there's business, but there's also fun in it too. We get to meet a lot of different people from different walks of life, and families too, who really need support. So I think that's what I like the most, is being able to support people in the way that they need it. It's not how I want it to be, it's what they need it to be.
Right. So tell me about that piece. I mean, it's a messy Monday. So we usually, a lot of times on this particular day, we talk about how people navigate relationships, how they approach each other, and what their rules are, right? Because people have rules, whether they say them explicitly or not, that they act on regarding this is what I do and this is what I won't do and I would never and I always. And I'm assuming that's part of what you're navigating in this coaching space.
Yeah. First of all, I need to correct that information. We've been married almost 27 years.
Oh,
yes.
So
okay. We need a bio. We need to update that bio.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in June, it'd be 27 years. So the other stuff is correct. So yeah, you're right. We're navigating people's trauma and pain, right? So how do you develop your values and the things that you care about the most? Probably come from your parents, probably come from your childhood, or past relationships where you didn't reconcile them, or you didn't, work it through, or all that other stuff that you carry with you to the next relationship. And so how do we help people unpack those really tough conversations around, the only analysis is self-analysis. So what role did you play in whatever happened in your relationship? What role did you play, and moving forward, what could you do differently? Not what could you do better or worse, just what could you do differently, right?
Yeah, and I'd like to piggyback on that, because one of the things that came up for me when he was speaking is that a lot of times those rules of engagement that they bring on like expectations that maybe I don't know about or hasn't been said, right? So we have to figure out like what are our rules of engagement when we're having a discussion, so that we know how to argue better, we know how to communicate with each other better. And I will say this, it doesn't always work for me. Like I I'm just gonna say that, I forget too. I'm human, I forget, and I go back to the way I was, right? But we're always changing and evolving. So people need to understand that too. It's like we're all human. So give us some grace sometimes with the mistakes that we're making. It's okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's like you sit and I meditate most days before I come in here, and then you get in traffic and flip someone off, and it's like, wait a minute, I just finished meditating and praying, and
Right.
now I'm like, yeah. So I get it. Like it's hard to be the person that we say we are or aspire to be all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talk about rules of engagement, what kinds of things are you talking about?
So just the way we decide how we're going to argue or be with each other, right? So one person may say, okay, I'm going to wash the dishes, and the other person says, I'm taking the trash, or something like that. Or it could be even like how we argue with each other, right? Okay, we're not going to hit below the line. What are we going to do to make sure that we don't go below the line and we stay above the line? Like, how are we going to engage with each other so that as I'm communicating, I'm not attacking my partner, because we're doing this together. This is our relationship. We have to be successful together. So in order for that to happen, you and I need to be able to say, okay, I won't talk about your mama if you don't talk about, my toes or something like that.
Right,
I don't know, whatever it is.
Whatever's off limits, because once
Right.
you say it, you can't unsay it.
You can't unsay
and then
it.
it can do lasting damage to the relationship.
For sure.
And you
Yeah.
got pretty toes, by the way. So I won't talk about that. That's all good. So. And not the divorce. That was one of the first rules of engagement that she came up with. She was like, divorce is off the table. I'm like, dang, well, separation got to be there.
That wasn't it either. I wasn't going for that either. I was like, no, because that brings about interruption, right? When you have the space sometimes, well, it depends on the relationship, but this is just how I felt at the time. I was like, I'm dying as Mrs. McGowan. So I don't know what needs to happen, but we need to make sure that this works itself out. Like, whatever we got to do to work it out, that's what we got to do. And the other thing, I was like, well, we're also not going to, throw that in each other's face. The space between us, yes, there are some people that need that space between us, but I was like, you know what? For what's happening in our life at that moment, I don't feel like that's a good thing for us. That's off the table too. We're going to have to, you don't like me, go to sleep. We wake up tomorrow. Let's try to work it out again.
I mean, I've always thought that don't go to sleep mad is kind of, I don't know if I agree with that rule, because I get up early and I can't stay up all night with you all the time arguing.
Thank you.
Can we
can't
put
be
a
up till
pin in
5?
it to be continued?
Right, and I ain't sleeping on the couch.
And also, sometimes, like, you need rest before you can think straight, and
Yes.
finish that argument.
Yeah.
Do you have, your wife just told me some things that she said were off the table, and you obviously agreed to it, signed on, right?
Yeah.
Do you
was
have
forced to. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you have rules of engagement yourself? And did they change from, well, you probably might not remember back that far. That was 27 years ago.
Oh, well,
From bachelor to married.
Hey, this stuff is baked over time. Believe me. We've been working this out for 27 years. So
For sure.
there's some stuff that didn't work, and there's stuff that we had to, as one of my friends say, eat the meat and throw away the bones. But one of my thing was, just, again, it goes back to the self-analysis piece. Like, I do so much in the personal development realm with myself and do so much self-work. I'm like, we both got to be doing self-work. I can't be the only one doing the self-work. So, when it used to be, when the stuff started coming at me, I'm like, well, what was your role in that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not the whataboutisms like, oh, well, this came up, so they give me an opportunity to snap back. It's, well, hold on, let's talk about everybody's role in this situation. I can't be the one that's wrong all the time. That's impossible.
I mean, you actually could, but
But I'm a dope cat, so I'm not wrong all the time.
It's
So-
unlikely. It's unlikely.
Right. And vice versa. I can't be wrong all the time. Right?
Well, one of my friends who's a psychologist taught me that anytime you find yourself saying you always or you never,
Yeah.
those are signals that you're not being honest with yourself, because nobody always or never does anything.
Yes, true.
Absolutely. Yeah, and a big question. This is on my questionnaire for private coaching, is about, do you lie to yourself? Right? And
Yes.
that's important. And we all do, right?
We all do.
Yes.
I just want to hear what people are going to say. No, I don't lie to myself. Okay, cool. You
Do
just
most people
lied.
say they don't?
About half and half.
Yeah.
actually.
So we're delusional is what you're
Yes,
saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, look. I mean, the simplest example is, we tell ourselves we weigh a certain amount, and then we get on the scale and it says something else, and the next day we're still telling ourselves that same lie. In the face of the evidence.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we lie about a lot of things, right? Like hair color. This isn't my true. If I color my hair, that's a lie too, right? Because the reality is, I have gray underneath here that's coming out a lot. It's going wherever.
Is that a lie? That's a cosmetic enhancement, Emilee.
Yeah,
it's a lie.
But it's not really truly who you. I mean, it's part of who you are. But then you're making it better by coloring it for you, right, or for the world.
Okay,
right?
we'll just agree to disagree on that. Yes, my hair is, covering up these grays, but I don't consider that a lie.
I do it too. Well, it's just. I guess metaphorically, it's like, is it really truly who you are?
Right.
Right.
Is it authentically you?
Authentically you.
So, okay, I noticed you kind of gave us this big detour about, conditions, and you said, what is your part in this? So, I guess the outcome of that is you both have to be working on each other.
Absolutely.
On yourselves.
Yeah.
That's one of your rules, if you will.
Yeah, that's. And you got to have rules, right? You got to have the values that, what did it say in Masonry? Circumscribes our actions together, that keep us, because it's us against the problem, right? It's not us against each other. It's like, so how do we turn it around and see the situation or the issue in a way that we are together attacking and unpacking the issue for the betterment of us, right? It's the name on the back of the jersey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think there's a lot of couples married and dating that have no rules. Like there's no Geneva Conventions for relationships. We just go in and freestyle until we crash into a burning building.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why they crash.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, how far do you get with that too? Right? Because here's the thing. The person I am today is not the person I was 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 months ago. I'm not the same person. And neither is he. And so with that understanding, I have to be aware that things are going to change and shift. And then how do we adjust to those changes and shifts?
Right. Otherwise, you quote unquote grow apart, which is real, which is a real thing that happens to people, and they end up, apart.
Yeah.
Like
divorced.
me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So even though you can say, well, I'm going to die as Mrs. McGowan, you have to get from point A to point B through all of those changes that you're describing.
And to be honest, it's like some years ago when we were really in the thick of it, I was like, you know what? Maybe we do need a separation. Maybe we do need some time apart. Like maybe we do need, to reset and do something different. Because what I was thinking at that time about, staying Mrs. McGowan till I die, like that shifted at one point in our marriage, because we were having such a struggle with the communication and with, the things that were happening between us. I mean, I was at the time, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, maybe we do need a break. I don't know what that is, right? But you have to be able to have those moments and still say, okay, well, where do I want to be? How do I want to be? And do I want to be that with this person, right? Because it's a choice to stay together. It's a choice to be with this person and say, okay, you know what? Let's work it out. Let's get through this and let's figure it out. That takes really a lot of time and patience and care and love, all of that within the relationship. You can't just, you can't just say it's just me and what I want. If you're really trying to make the relationship work, I got to think about his side too.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking with Rob and Emilee McGowan. They coach others, but they also are navigating a 27-year marriage. And we want to talk more about how that works, even in a stellar marriage like yours. It can be messy, and it is a messy Monday on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do Black history every single day. In fact, As the only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi, we are Black History. Our annual Black History Month luncheon is fast approaching, and we want to be sure to give you ample time to get your company, organization, church, or group to join us at this year's celebration on the last day of the month, Thursday, February 29th at noon. Last year, we honored iconic local Black media personalities, including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen. Plus, a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your Black.
City of Los Angeles tenants, get informed today about your eviction rights. Take immediate action if you receive an eviction notice from the court. You have 5 days to respond to an eviction notice or unlawful detainer. Don't self-evict. And you can't be evicted for non-payment of rent unless you owe more than the fair market rent for a unit your size. Learn more eviction information such as at-fault and no-fault evictions at housing.lacity.org. Be informed, be protected, be at home.
Don't settle for bumps, ingrowns, and itch due to dry skin. Try Venus for pubic hair and skin, the razor and regimen specifically designed for your pubic area, featuring a razor with patented irritation defense bar and skincare regimen that is dermatologist and gynecologist tested. Venus helps protect your pubic skin from shave irritation. Discover the full regimen of products at GilletteVenus.com.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Charles Barkley in a pickup game.
We'll take Barkley.
Ha! First pick. Sorry, kids.
Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision?
Okay, here's the plan. Pass me the ball every time.
This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, so we are talking about relationships with some folks who are in one, and also folks who help others. Rob and Emilee McGowan are with us. They've been married 27 years, which means you've probably been together longer than that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, friends for, we've known each other like 5 years before that, so like 32 years we've known each other.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, so we talk about rules of engagement a little bit. What do you, in how many people are trying to be in relationships or married without any kind of guidelines or any kind of standards, I guess it is, really. What works for me, what works for you, what can we agree on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Is that something you help people with? Do you also find that people have ground rules or standards that are not helping them?
Yeah, most of the time, folks don't have them, and that's why they're talking to us. Right?
Yeah,
they don't know how to have a what do you call it? A good argument.
Right. Yeah, they haven't came up with their lines in the sand, right? They haven't decided like what's working and what's not working for them and how they're going to operate through that. And so a lot of times we just guide them through. We don't tell them what to do, and we don't tell them, hey, this rule worked for us. Right. We just let them come up with, well, what do you think you should, would be your rule? Or I don't know. They really have to come up with it themselves because they're the ones that are in the relationship.
Right.
It's not us.
But I mean, even having someone ask you, what are your ground rules, is going to be what, huh? For a lot of people. I remember, my college boyfriend told me, okay, we're going to make a rule. We don't cuss at each other. And I just thought that was like amazing. Of course, this was many years ago, but I was like, wow. Yeah, I like that. No cussing. Like, we can yell if we have to, but there will be no cussing. Yeah. It seems super basic, but when you talk about laying a groundwork of being respectful, it's, I think most couples don't have that rule.
Right.
But it goes back to, self-analysis. It forces you to really dig into your values, what you're about, who you're about. You said something earlier about, I meditate before I get in traffic. Then traffic hits now.
Now you flipping people.
Yeah.
Well, the question is, here's the question. The question is around, well, who are you, right? If you say you're orange and I squeeze you and the apple juice come out, then are you who you say you are, right? So it's about accountability too, right?
But I don't think that's a good example of that, because most people react under pressure perhaps differently than they would ideally want to. Well, it's part of who you are.
Yeah.
I don't think it's who you are. It's part of who you are.
Yeah. Right. And the reflection on that is how you enhance who you are. Like if you say, it's one thing to say, oh man, I did X, Y, and Z. It's another thing to say, you know what, in reflection, I could have did that differently.
Right.
And now that makes you a better person. So when it happens again, you're a different person, right? So that's who you are.
Yeah, well, but that's all well and good. When this building catches on fire, whether or not you exactly act the way you see your higher self acting, well, some days more so than others. I think there's ebb and flow in people's, their resources, their amount of rest they've had, the amount, there's all these other factors, their biorhythms,
Well, see, that kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. There's going to be times when I'm not my best self
right.
in that moment, right? And I have to remember and keep practicing that thing that I need to do better, right? Because a lot of times, like I was saying earlier, there's times when we could be in the argument or a discussion, it gets heated or whatever, and I might hit below the belt and say something, but I also have to take pause and say, okay, I said I was going to be better about how I interact with my husband. So what do I need to do differently, right? So I have to be able to pause in the moment and say, okay, because there's plenty of times when we're having a discussion and I'm like, okay, how am I going to answer this, right? And I try not to clap back.
Yeah.
Right away. So, it just depends. Like, you really have to take pause and really be conscious about, because I may do the same mistake again. I may have that same, reaction because I'm not in practice of doing it the right way or the different way.
And there's another factor too, which is that when we're in relationships with people, especially romantic relationships, we know how to push each other's buttons.
For sure.
And we do it.
For sure.
Yes.
So how do you deal with that?
So this is messy, right?
Yeah, it's real messy.
And the messy part of this is it may be a gender thing. I'm not going to do a blanket thing, but I'll say this. Sometimes as men, many times as men, we don't have the leeway to say, I'm just having a bad day.
Right. But you should. You should.
But
for sure.
But yes and no. Yes, in a healthy way. No, in a way that, because aggression, things like, how men interact.
Yeah, I'm having a bad day, so I threw you out the window. Not that.
Right.
No,
but that's what I'm saying.
But
right?
I need grace. I think
I
deserve grace. I think we all deserve grace.
I think, and as I have a value of receiving things that she says with patience and responding in kindness, then I have to live that. I can't say I'm having a bad day, so that's why I didn't respond in kindness. Like I am who I am. So in that moment, my best version is let me pause and make sure I'm checking in with myself that I'm responding in kindness.
We've got news, traffic, and sports right here. When we get on the other side, I want to talk about, you said you don't tell people you should do this or these are the rules that you should follow. Mm-hmm. But I want to talk about some tools. I'm assuming you provide some tools, or maybe not. Is it free for all? We'll find out after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Thank you for sharing a part of your Monday with us. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A grassroots group is calling for the city of Boston, Massachusetts, to pay $15 billion in reparations for slavery. The Boston People's Reparations Commission said over the weekend that its plan would involve $5 billion in direct cash payments to Black Boston residents, $5 billion to invest in new financial institutions, and $5 billion to address the racial education gap. An NBA legend wants to end his career with his current team. Los Angeles Lakers superstar, African-American LeBron James, told the media Sunday that he's been happy being a Laker for the past 6 years, and hopefully it stays that way. The 39-year-old made his comments before his record-setting 20th All-Star appearance. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on anyone else. So if you drive safely, you could save money. Good to know. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The best news out of NBA All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis came from LeBron James. Before Sunday's All-Star game, LeBron said he hopes to finish his career with the Lakers. A couple of days after the February 8 trade deadline, management for the Lakers and Golden State confirmed that they had casual talks about a trade that would have sent LeBron to the Warriors. LeBron said Sunday he was unaware of those discussions. LeBron did not play in the second half of the All-Star game. He's still undergoing treatment for his sore left ankle. Look for NBA Commissioner Adam Silver to do some serious soul-searching about the All-Star game. The game has become a joke. 397 points were scored, 211 by the Eastern Conference. The lack of competitive effort by the players in recent All-Star games is becoming a major problem for the NBA. There will be some changes. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
What's up, LA? This is John McKinney, your next district attorney. Voting is underway, and public safety is the top issue on the ballot. As a deputy district attorney for over 25 years, I know Los Angeles, and I know how to keep this community safe. And as an African American who lives and works in this community, I know the unique challenges we face. My promise to you is to ensure accountability, protect victims' rights, and give the underserved a voice. I'm John McKinney, and I ask for your vote for LA County District Attorney.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the exclusive media sponsor of this light of ours, activist photographers of the Civil Rights Movement. A dynamic new exhibition on view now at the Skirball Cultural Center in Los Angeles. This light of ours showcases more than 150 photos taken by movement insiders from diverse backgrounds that reveal the vital work undertaken by a broad coalition of organizers and everyday people whose collective action changed America. This light of ours is one of 3 temporary exhibitions currently on view at the Skirball, which together explore issues related to civil rights, immigration, and pluralism. Tickets and more information for all 3 exhibitions are available at skirball.org. That's skirball.org. SKIRBALL.org.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
When you use Bounce Dryer Sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce Dryer Sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
The new year's here. Time for a change. Start with a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand fields of IT cybersecurity, and AI with My Computer Career in just months. Already in IT? Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus. Make this your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. Get 6 times longer lasting freshness plus odor protection with Downy Unstoppables in-wash scent beads.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
Yes, I know it's election season. You have between now and March 5th to vote. If you haven't done so yet, go to KBLA1580.com. We are your election information station, and you can compare conversations with the different candidates for many offices. Right now, though, we're talking relationships. It is a messy Monday, and we are talking with the folks behind some life coaching and career coaching. Diving Within is what it's called. Rob and Emilee McGowan have been married at least 27 years.
Almost 27.
Almost 27.
27 in June.
In June. And you guys are, obviously working it out 27 years later. I didn't realize that you'd lost one of your children, one of your babies, to cancer.
Yes.
Which is it's just unimaginable for most parents.
Yes,
and
sure.
That's the kind of thing that does, I'm sure, take a toll on a relationship.
For sure, because I'm grieving, he's grieving, and then our kids are grieving because we have 3 other children, right? And then something that I didn't realize back then, because I felt so alone. After our son's passing, like our friends were not around. It didn't feel like they were around. They were there, but I didn't feel like they were around as much. And so what I didn't realize till years later, our friend, in talking to him, shared some things that he was going through. And I was like, wow, like I didn't realize that our friends were grieving too, and how that took a toll on them. But we found, at the time, and I think that was part of our struggle also, is because I didn't want to burden him with my grief. And I don't think, he could speak for himself as far as like how he was feeling at the time, but I didn't want to burden him with my grief. And so I felt like I had to deal with that on my own. And so it caused issues between us, right? Like the whole communication thing, like I should have been leaning more towards my husband versus away from him. And, and that's what I did. And so it kind of caused some rift between us. Like, how do we get through that? Right.
Yeah.
So
your baby was only 5.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how do you weather a storm like that?
I don't know.
I
can't
still
even call
weathering.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I can't even call it. I think something that Emilee said was key is that we grieved apart, and we were already, struggling in our marriage at the time. And then we go through this 2-year period to where we're focused on him, right? Hyper focused, like, and not even thinking.
You mean from the time he was diagnosed to the time
Right.
he made his transition? Because he was
Right.
3 when he was diagnosed.
Correct.
5 when he passed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oof.
And so, in my mind, it never occurred that he would pass, right? And so still navigating a career and work, navigating our relationship, navigating the other kids, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was wild, and we did grieve separately, and that was tough. Mm-hmm. But it gave an opportunity for coaching, mm-hmm. because for me, after he passed, that was it. I mean, I was ready to check out. Oh.
Yeah, just your mic.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was ready to check out.
You mean check out, check out?
Check out.
Wow.
Like that was my guy at the time. You know what I mean? And some great people coached me through that. So that's how I know the power of coaching, because it saved my life. So all the issues that come up with people, I'm like, I can help with that.
and so, I mean, how did you guys find your way back to each other?
Well, I think it started with the coaching, right? Because so Robert was getting coaching through his work and through some of the people that he knew, right? And then
big ups to Maisie Chen, Manla Kaise, Bernard Dory.
Yes.
Oh, I know Bernard.
Yeah. So they really poured into Robert and what was happening with him at the time. I was actually more focused on the kids and what was happening with them. So, making sure that they were in school and doing their activities and trying to keep their life as normal as possible with, we did go to a grief counselor as a family, like once or twice. But that's not enough, right? Like we were all still grieving, in our own ways. And then at the time, like he went through a 2-day coaching program. And so he came back and he was like, hey, I did, he told me about it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, that's pretty cool. And he was like, okay, I think I want to do the 9-month program. And I was like, oh, you know what? That sounds interesting. Also, I think that's something that I would find interesting and I want to know more about. So he said, well, there's a 2-day coming up. Why don't you sign up for that? He's like, if I have to pay for it, whatever, it's our pot of money. But he's like, we'll make it, we'll make it work.
Budget, right?
Yeah, we'll put it in the budget. We'll make it work. If you want to do this, we'll make sure that you get to go. And he told me about the 2-day, and I went, and I was like, So after it was over, I called him, and I was like, hey, you know what? He's like, how'd it go? I'm like, it's fantastic. I'm like, everybody needs this. Like, everybody needs this in some form or fashion. They need some coaching to get them through. And that's what opened up my eyes to what coaching, the possibilities of coaching. So then when he came to me and said, oh, I want to do the 9-month, I'm like, I'll do that with you. I wouldn't mind, like, us doing that together. So we went through that 9-month program. And then after it was over, he was like, you know what, Emilee, I think I want to do this forever. I want this to be part of like what I do every day. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was at a, 9 to 5. And at first we were thinking about doing it together, like both of us leave our jobs and that would be it. But somewhere down the line, I was like, how about you just do this? This is what you want to do. You leave your job. It's okay. And we'll figure out the budget and we'll make it work. And I'll stay at my job for as long as I need to. And then we'll figure it out. Right. We'll make it work. I believe in you. This is what you want to do. And he was very passionate about it. And I'm like, all right, cool. This is what we're doing. All right. Yeah.
And so through helping others, it ended up helping you?
For sure.
No doubt. Every day. Every time we have a conversation, I statements. Yes. Every time I have a conversation with someone, I know that half the time I'm coaching myself, right? I see some aspect of my life in them, and which helps me get curious. So as much as I get curious about them, I'm curious about how would I react? So I ask those questions. But I want to add at the end of that, toward the end of our training, my mom passed. I grew up an only child. So
oh, wow.
That's right.
My mom passed. So we were in Alabama, and then just sorting through emotions and stuff. So I'm glad I went through that process, that 9-month process of getting coaching and really working through some stuff. By the time she made her transition, I was like,
still part of the program at that time, huh?
Yeah, we were taking finals.
Yeah, we were taking finals when that happened.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm not in a mental space to go back and really give what I need to give to cadre while I was working. And I was like, you know what? It'll be best for me to transition out. So That's what happened.
Yeah, here you guys are.
Yeah.
But I did want to share that, you know, as tragic as our son transitioning and not being with us, we wouldn't be where we are today had it not been for that happening. Like, there were some things that were happening in our lives that brought us to this point, right? So even though we think that there's tragedies and they're ruining our lives and everything, you know, sometimes there's a blessing behind the tragedy. And I feel like this was our blessing. Like, that happened, but we wouldn't be where we are today had it not. You know, and even during the time when Miles was diagnosed, Robert and I had never said, well, why us? Why are we the ones going through this? Why is it our family that's going through this at the time? It was more so, okay, this is what we have to do. And then later on thinking about what the lesson was in that, right? Like, man, we aren't where we are today emotionally, where we are today physically, right? Because we changed our eating habits, everything when Miles was diagnosed. Like, our whole lives was changed. The trajectory of our life. Well, maybe not the trajectory, but maybe that's how we got here, right? That had to happen in order for us to be here today, to be in front of you, to be talking to these people, you know, who are listening. Like, this wouldn't be happening.
And the thing you have to really be clear about is what you ask the universe for. If you're asking the universe for patience, then you get put in situations where your patience is tested. Right, so that's why I say that's who you are, right?
Yeah.
If you want to be something,
Yeah, but I don't.
say it out loud.
I just don't look at it binary. I feel like we're always.
Well, of course,
we're always our best and worst selves at the same time.
Yes.
Because you carry with you everything you've done.
But how you show up is how you show up. That's
and how you show up Wednesday might not be how you show up Friday.
Yeah.
That's true.
And.
I mean, never come on my show if make sure you never come on my show if I haven't had anything to eat. For example.
You know,
did you eat this morning?
I did.
Okay,
I absolutely did.
See, I feel like that, like with sleep.
Yeah.
You know, I need my sleep.
Yeah.
And the later it gets in the evening, I get angry. Like, I'm like, I am so tired. I just want to go to bed.
Right. And I can meditate for, a month, and then you don't feed me, it's not going to go good. I'm sorry.
Mental note.
Best and worst self. We want to get to these tools that we said we were going to talk about when we come forward. We are KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Don't settle for bumps, ingrowns, and itch due to dry skin. Try Venus for pubic hair and skin, the razor and regimen specifically designed for your pubic area, featuring a razor with patented irritation defense bar and skincare regimen that is dermatologist and gynecologist tested. Venus helps protect your pubic skin from shave irritation. Discover the full regimen of products at GilletteVenus.com.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over. And if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So, no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
Some people just know the best places to eat around town. Those are the people who know to choose Allstate. They know exactly where to go to get exactly what you're wanting. They know where to find the spiciest hot pot, the gooeyest brownies, and the tenderest, most flavorful portobello steak. Those people also know that safe drivers save 40% with Allstate.
Saving 40% is based on the national average premium savings for Allstate auto customers with a clean driving record versus those without. Savings vary by state and vary based on how you buy, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Your floors can go from clean to dirty fast. From juice spills, whoops, to muddy paw prints, to little sticky finger marks. Good thing your Swiffer Wet Jet works fast too. Swiffer Wet Jet easily cleans everyday messes as quick as they happen. The next mess is right around the corner. So grab your Swiffer Wet Jet and just spray, push, all clean.
Are you facing an unexpected financial emergency?
You need WeFixMoney.com. WeFixMoney.com can help you get up to $3,000 fast. WeFixMoney.com is free to use, available 24/7, and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Go to the name you trust, WeFixMoney.com. If you need emergency cash up to $3,000 for bills or anything else, type WeFixMoney.com directly into your browser. That's WeFixMoney.com.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, so time flies when you are on the radio. Rob McGowan and Emilee McGowan are with us. They have a company, a coaching thing. And so tell us how to get that coaching before we get into some of these tools. If folks want to get down with diving within, what are some of the kinds of things you do and where can they find you?
Find us at divingwithin.net. DIVINGWITHIN.
Divingwithin.net. And you guys are doing counseling, you're doing coaching for business, for life, vision.
Yep.
And I imagine some couple stuff comes up.
Every now and then they do.
No doubt.
So what are some of the kinds of tools that you either use personally or that you teach?
For me, I'd say when I think about, personal, the only analysis is self-analysis, then morning success routines, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got it. Meditation, exercise, and feeding your brain, mind, body, and soul. So meditation or prayer, if that's your thing, exercise and reading. So doing that every morning really grounds you for the day. So that's one thing. The rules of engagement is another. Like what are your we call it the lines in the sand. What are the things that, you don't cross these lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those things shift based on your values, based on who you are at the time.
So
they can shift also, right? They don't have to stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
Like
right.
You can always tweak them, to how you are in that moment, right? It could be 6 months or a year later, and you want to revisit what those are for you as a couple.
Yep. And think about triggers, right? So triggers aren't about the other person. Triggers are about you, right? So I don't know if we had a long-standing argument around toilet tissue for years. Right? You get triggered by the
we
toilet.
argue about that now. We didn't. No.
It's like, is it over? Is it under? Right? And so one thing that's important is around is around understanding, right? Understanding, understanding, right? Because when you deepen your understanding or understanding of someone, then your patience and empathy grows. So get curious, right? Curiosity is the groundwork of it all. And so I got curious one day. I'm like, hey, why do you like the toilet tissue that way? And she explained it to me, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
And you still kept arguing about it anyway.
Not at all. Not at
No.
all. It immediately from that understanding, I had patience and empathy. It's like, oh, that makes sense. I don't care about it.
It's not that important
No, it's not
to
that
you, right?
important.
Yeah.
So because I had a deeper understanding of where it came from her,
I
right?
mean,
So that's an important piece too.
I think that happens with couples. They're proxy wars.
Yep.
We're fighting over,
Yes.
we're fighting over cheese graters when it's really about something else.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I saw this meme one time. It was like, we keep doing the same thing over and over again. This lady has a pot roast and she cuts the ends, right? And so the husband is like, well, why do you do that? What makes you cut the ends of the pot roast? She's like, I don't know. This is how, my mom taught me how to do it. It's like, okay. So he asked the mom, he's like, well, what makes you cut the ends of the pot roast? I mean, your daughter does it, you do it. Where did that come from? He's like, oh, well, my mom did that. So then they go to her mom and say, oh, hey, why do you cut the ends of the pot roast? It's like, well, the pot was too short, so I had to cut the ends. But no one ever knew that's why they cut the end of the pot roast, right? Because
They were
just
trying to
didn't
fit
fit
it into the pan that
There's-
she had, right? And it becomes a family tradition.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we all a lot of times we say, well, I did this because my mom or my dad or whoever in our lives did it, but we never stop and ask them and get curious. We're like, hey, how's that working out for you?
Yeah, and when it comes to relationships, that's especially keen because we inherit a lot of pathologies.
Absolutely.
You know, things that we really, if we broke it down, probably would not want to be repeating.
Bingo. And that's where I start, right? That's what and we start with our coaching. Is like, I want to know about your parents. I want to know about your child, your childhood. I want to know about your siblings, because probably some unresolved stuff that happened in those relationships are making its way into your romantic relationship.
So let's say you break that down and you say, my mom was a manonizer. Mama was a Rolling Stone. I don't think that's a word.
She was for the streets.
Daddy was
Mom's like
Mom was for the
Streetwood.
street. Dad was a womanizer. Just for example. So now I know it. How do I break out of that impacting my life?
Yeah, what do you want to do about it? Like, is it causing you enough harm in your life that you want to change? Oftentimes it's not. Folks are like, I'm aware of it, but I'm not going to do anything about it because I'm comfortable, right? That magic, what they say all the time, that magic outside that comfort zone, right? So that's the main thing. I'm comfortable being in the streets. Then you'll be in the streets. There's nothing pushing you to transform or to change that's hitting you hard enough to do so.
I mean, it sounds like you're saying that we don't get the results without the discomfort.
Oh, for sure.
And I mean, you guys, I'm sure marriage 27 plus years has its ups and downs.
Yeah, sure.
But you seem like you've come to the other side of some pretty tough moments.
Yeah, we're stronger because of the stuff that we've gone through.
The discomfort.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't say that I'm a brave person and not be in a situation where you haven't been proven to be brave.
Right. You can't say you're a brave person and stay in the house all the time.
Yeah,
Never test
we
yourself.
don't know. You don't know that.
And think about it. There's no testimony without a test, right? There's no testimony without the test. So and who's going to come to you for guidance or anything like that if you haven't been through some stuff? No one's going to come to you, right? So, for example, we talk all the time about people that don't have kids, right? They can't, they can try to tell you how it is to raise your kids, but they have no experience behind it. So it's like
just STF you.
Oh, man.
Actually.
That's a Bernardism, right? It's like it's some conversations you can't have with folks who don't have kids.
Right. I mean, no disrespect. If you don't want to have kids, that's your life. Just please don't judge me based on what I'm doing because you don't really know.
Or even when you're talking about in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Why are you going to get advice from someone who's single and you're married? You need to go find a married couple that has been through some stuff.
What about? No, you know what? It's too late. I'm not going to start. I'm about to get real messy right now, but it's 2 minutes until Kevin smiles.
Well, let's see how messy we can get in 2 minutes.
I'm about to get real messy. No, I was going to say, what about getting relationship advice from somebody who's on their third or fourth wife, like say Steve Harvey?
Well, but see, here's the thing: you've gone through some experiences being with 3 people, right? And you may not have it working for you.
You may not,
but
those gems?
Not but.
Pull out the gem.
Yes, like he said, you got to eat the meat and throw away the bone.
Find the lesson.
Find the lesson in it. Right?
Yeah, the blessing is in the lesson.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we what do you want to leave us with? We got less than a minute here. Emilee, you first.
Like Robert was saying earlier, patience and kindness. You really have to, and pause. Please pause. When you're in the thick of it, it's hard to pause and really, especially when the ish is hitting the fan, it's really easy to clap back and go off and really get beside yourself, right?
Yeah.
Really try to pause. I would say that's
Robert.
What? Why you look like that?
No reason.
Part 2 coming next week. Just kidding.
It really comes down to staying curious. We work not to be prescriptive at all because we want the words to be bespoke, and being bespoke and tailored to the couple is about being curious. Stay curious. That curiosity breeds understanding, empathy, patience. But it starts from just being curious about where that came from. And I'll say this last thing. It's a difference between saying, Oh, curiosity and judgment can't occupy the same space. So it's a difference between saying, why the heck did she do that? Or I wonder why she did it.
All right. Time to pass the mic to Tavis Smiley. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for sharing a part of your Monday with us. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A grassroots group is calling for the city of Boston, Massachusetts, to pay $15 billion in reparations for slavery. The Boston People's Reparations Commission said over the weekend that its plan would involve $5 billion in direct cash payments to Black Boston residents, $5 billion to invest in new financial institutions, and $5 billion to address the racial education gap. An NBA legend wants to end his career with his current team. Los Angeles Lakers superstar, African-American LeBron James, told the media Sunday that he's been happy being a Laker for the past 6 years, and hopefully it stays that way. The 39-year-old made his comments before his record-setting 20th All-Star appearance. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on anyone else. So if you drive